we're going to go ahead and get started. There are others who are on their way, but we'll just catch them up. It is an honor and a privilege to have our own school board representative, Dr. Deborah Robinson, here tonight with us. She is doing this sort of thing across the county, and that is to hear what we have to say about the new superintendent that we're in the process of acquiring. And too often we act after the fact. This is your opportunity to give your input up front. She wants to hear from you and myself. She's the one that will carry your voice and your issues and your thoughts, concepts back to the board. She's not afraid to say what she believes in. And I know that about her. Amen? So I'm not going to take up any more time. I'm going to just turn it over to them. It is in their hands. We're glad to see at least one of our commissioners from the city of Boynton Beach, Commissioner David Merkel. Just raise your hand. Amen. And there may be others that may be coming also. But at this time, I'm going to just turn it over to Dr. Robinson or whomever want to be leading. Okay? God bless you.
Thank you.
So I would like to welcome everyone. I have just one small request to make. It would make my job very easier of handling this camera if we can all come closer. And the first row, this is not a classroom. So we can just come up front. So this meeting is being organized by Unified Coalition. And I'll just go through the mission statement of Unified Coalition, and I won't come between you all and your ideas, and we'll move over and moving forward. So Unified is a community-based coalition of a diverse group of individuals and organizations focused on justice and equity for Black people in Palm Beach County. We stand with our allies, lending our voices, action, and resources to build a better county. We know that power is the people. Unify has organized this meeting to get community input and ideas on superintendent search. We are glad that Dr. Deborah Robinson is here. She is representing the school board, and she will take a lot of your ideas and go back to the school board and present it to the search firm. How this meeting will be run and how the ideas will be transmitted to the search firm. Dr. Deborah will explain it further. So, welcome.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
I am so glad to see you here this evening. I'm Dr. Robinson, as been stated, a school board member representing District 7. Ooh. I had to think about what that was. Okay, I'll reflect upon that this evening. District 7, which includes this area. Been on the school board 14 years. This is my third superintendent search. Okay, so I've got like a little bit of experience under my belt with this activity. But this one is different than before in many ways. So first, let me say how this community input process is different than the one we held actually here several years ago, where we took the show on the road. This one is specifically been organized by Unified, specifically one of the member organizations, the Coalition for Black Student Achievement, and I've been asked to come and speak to this issue. Last time I organized and called the meeting, so I just kind of want to be clear about that so I can have my little artificial boundaries and separation of my roles here. So hey there. Now, this superintendent search, I know I'm going to forget something because I didn't give myself an outline, but this superintendent search is the school board hired a national organization named Gray and Associates to perform a true national search for us. Last time we hired Florida School Board Association to do the search. It was supposed to be a national search. We did have some candidates from outside of the state of Florida, but for those of you who watched that process, I could just tell you that at the end of the day, I was not pleased with any of the candidates that applied. And so we ended up doing a pivot and hiring the then interim superintendent, who is now our outgoing superintendent, Wayne Jen. This time, after hiring Ray and Associates, now we expect a true search, a true national vigorous search. And I will tell you that Ray and Associates has been in business for more than 30 years. They pride themselves on getting diverse superintendents placed, right? So the two that I highlight, and it really helped me to vote for Ray and Associates, was one, that they brought Runcie, the current superintendent of Broward, to that table, right? And they also brought Maurice Green, who is a superintendent in Guilford County, North Carolina, to that table. And why I point to Guilford County, not only was I born in Guilford County, which really has nothing to do with this conversation, but Guilford County has the highest graduation rate in the nation. And so if we say that that's our benchmark to graduate students, then looking at, and I've been kind of studying the pathway, and so part of that pathway was to get Maurice Green as their superintendent, and Ray and Associates helped with that process. So I'm pleased with our selection thus far. Now, having said that, Ray and Associates is used to running the show, okay? So they are used to seeking out the candidates, and as they have said, the ideal superintendent candidate is not looking for a job, okay? Right?
So the ideal pastor.
Okay, I'm not touching that. But I appreciate the concept. So their claim to fame is that they know people, and they know people that know people. And so they are tapping on shoulders and saying, why don't you look at Palm Beach County? I know you're good where you are, and you got this great track record, and you know, you're well respected, but aren't you ready to take the next challenge, right? So, you know, these aren't the people who are sending us their resumes, okay? So as I said, they have this great track record. They're used to doing a very vigorous recruitment, and they will, just in terms of some dates, and then I will go back to how this today fits into this process. On Thursday, April 2nd is the deadline for the applications, okay? The names should become public on Friday, April 3rd. Over that weekend, which happens to be Easter weekend, but over that weekend and early the next week, Ray and Associates will be doing their homework, researching all the candidates, doing, you know, some level of background search, getting their track record and so forth. And then on Wednesday, April 8th, they will present to the board all the names of all the candidates. We'll already have the resumes. They will present their recommendations. Okay, so they're going to present, as they call it, the A list, the B list, and the C list, right? And then on Wednesday, April 8th, the board will shortlist, right? Most likely from the A list, but we do reserve the right to add people to the list to be considered for shortlisting. So we will shortlist down to whatever the magic number will be, most commonly 3. And then the following week, the 14th and 15th, we will interview them. And there will be public interviews of the shortlisted candidates. And then on Thursday, April 16th, we'll have a special meeting to select. So that's the timeline as it exists now. And we're rushing this. You know, some school districts like Boston, I think they took 9 months for their process. We're rushing this because this is a superintendent's market. There's a lot of school districts looking for a superintendent right now. And so the top people, they can have their pick of the litter. And so we're trying to get ahead of that and get a great person committed to Palm Beach County. So we try to jump in front of the people, so to speak. Now, to talk about what we're doing today, as Reverend had said, we are here to hear from you. It's being recorded. This recording will be uploaded to YouTube. It will be shared with all the school board members and district administration, and it will also be shared with Ray and Associates, right? And so, you know, the school district had its formally sanctioned, I like to call it, community input meetings. They had 8 of them that Ray and Associates ran. And so now, as community likes to do, community wants to talk to community, okay? The head of Ray and Associates has promised me that he will look at these videos, right? We're also going to be taking notes on your comments. So those will end up being typed up, so they'll be sent to the same group of people in case they don't want to take the time, they can look at the notes, right? And what this is going to be used for is to create the profile, right? So y'all know about profiles, right? So this is going to be the superintendent profile. This is going to be the ideal superintendent profile, right? And so remember when I talked about on that Thursday, April 2nd, when all the applications are due, and then over the next several days, Ray and Associates will use their 30 years of experience, right, to match the applicants to the school district and come up with the A, B, and C. So your input is part of that profile. That's why this is important, okay? Because, you know, you might say things that have been said already, but out of this room might be the most important kernel of wisdom to come forward, right? And so we just want to make sure that the community is heard, that the users of the school district are heard, and not just the usual suspects that come to the board meeting and say whatever they say and, you know, sing whatever they sing and do whatever they do. So, having said all that, any questions about that process? Yes.
Pardon my ignorance, but I would like you to define the word superintendent.
Okay.
And the reason I
thank you for reminding me. Go ahead.
Okay, good. It's something right so far. The reason I ask that is because where I originally come from, the state of New Jersey and New York, a superintendent.
Thank you.
The reason I asked for the definition of superintendent is because where I come from originally, up north, New Jersey, New York, a superintendent came from within. So I'm not sure what I'm hearing from you, but I think you're defining a superintendent differently. Because my question is, and I hope I'm not trying to be complex, I would assume a superintendent like who you've had knows the laws of the state, knows the inner makings of the educational process in the state, and to come from another state, you know, that's what I'm asking. So is your definition of superintendent different than, say, another state?
Okay.
In the sense of what their job is. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think I heard two different things. So the first thing is the job description of the superintendent is the CEO of the school district, right? And I'm glad you reminded me, because that's one of the things that would have been on my outline if I had written it. So I just want to speak just for a moment about the function of the school board versus the superintendent. So, and I'll get to your answer, but I'm going to go around in a circle. So first, let me just talk about the role of the school board members, like me. So we're elected, it's 7 of us, right? We're single-member districts. And our role is really over policy and budget and our 3 employees. The school board actually has 3 employees: the superintendent, the general counsel, and the inspector general, okay? Every other person that gets a Palm Beach County School Board paycheck is technically an employee of the superintendent, not the board, right? what a lot of people think that I should be able to do or I should be willing to do, a lot of what people say is really under the purview of the superintendent. So the board doesn't hire and fire, right? Except the superintendent, the inspector general, and the general counsel. You know, we don't make the decision on what, like who becomes the principal at school X, Y, Z. That's the superintendent. We have to essentially ratify it. We use the word approve, but it's really, I think, probably better to say ratify for clarity. You know, the budget, the superintendent makes budget a recommendation for the annual budget to the board that should be based on a strategic plan, but the board is in control of the budget. The superintendent cannot decide the budget. The superintendent will make a recommendation for the budget. Same thing for policy, okay? So we have this separation of roles that a lot of people don't see or understand. Now, the superintendent, as I said, is the CEO. They manage the place from day to day, right? You know, they make those decisions about placement of personnel and make recommendations to the board on policy, budget, and so forth. There is nothing that says the superintendent has to come from within. There's nothing that says that the superintendent has to be an educator, right? We could, in theory, go hire the CEO of Toyota or something, okay? Nah, that ain't happening, I'm just saying. But I'm just saying, in theory, right? You know, Runcie down at Broward is not a career educator, right? The superintendent at Broward, he's not a career educator. He was on the business side of the school district in Chicago, if I'm recalling his credentials correctly. The guy I talked about, Dr. Maurice Green, in Guilford County, is actually an attorney. But he was an attorney, now, I think I'm remembering this correctly. He was the attorney for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system. Then he became the deputy superintendent for Charlotte-Mecklenburg before he became a superintendent. But he's not a career educator. He got the highest graduation rate in the nation. Okay, I'm just saying. So if you want to say as part of your input that you believe that the superintendent should be a career educator that comes from within, that's fine. We will note that. But there is nothing that says that they have to be, right? Okay. So before I ask for any more questions, how many? Yes,
Excuse me.
ma'am.
One other point that I think it's key to bring out here. Thank you, Rocky. One other point about our superintendent is that our superintendent is appointed, which is why the board members are going through the search process. A vast majority of the superintendents in the state of Florida are elected. And good, bad, or indifferent, it's useful to know that this county happens to be one of the school districts that appoints its superintendent as opposed to having an elected one. And of course, with an elected superintendent, you also could come from anywhere. You just have to be able to be qualified to run for election. Just a point I thought might be.
Everybody knows Debbie Stewart. Y'all show her some love.
Yeah, that's why I made the point I needed to thank you.
No,
thank you very
listen,
much.
y'all don't know. I specifically invited Debbie to come and clean my stuff up, okay? Okay. And if I start getting, cranky, then she'll just step in nicely and say it nicely so that I'm not being bad. Yes.
Thank you. I guess I'm sounding ignorant, but don't you want a basic outline so there's a procedure so you can get the best superintendent? In other words, I just heard something from you. One half is elected, the other half is appointed. I understand the psychological manifestations of having either side, but what's better for the children in the sense when you do it within, there's a personal touch in which you, the families, have an idea. When you do it politically, it's not the same intensity, it's not the same interest. The idea that it's appointed and all of you know who the person is because of their educational background, not their political background, isn't that better?
Okay, we're not getting to that. We're not making that call today. okay? Our superintendent is decided by the board, okay?
Yes.
For today, that's a rhetorical question. We are not having a conversation about whether or not the superintendent should be elected or appointed. That is not today's conversation,
Okay.
okay?
Yes, no problem.
Okay. Now, the other part though, because this thing about from within, maybe I'm not processing that the way you intended, but when you say that, what I'm hearing is somebody who basically grew up professionally in the Palm Beach County school system.
Or in the state.
Or in the state, okay, so that's your take, okay. So would you like that noted as what you would be believed to be one of the qualities or characteristics of the ideal superintendent for Palm Beach County?
I would, because I would assume that that person within the state has the educational background, I'll use a slang term, the savoir-faire, that he understands the school system personally, and I use the word personally. Why bringing someone in from another state, their system is different. Like where I come from initially, the whole process of even budgeting is different here than there. So if you know the background of your children and your areas.
But I don't understand that. What makes you think that because you are in the state of Florida, that you know the details about the children in the schools in Palm Beach County? I could follow that if you said that the person grew up professionally in Palm Beach County. I'm not, okay, I get the laws and stuff are different from state to state. I got all that. So and guess what? Last time we selected a superintendent, I thought that was important. I don't anymore. But it is being noted, because this is a community input meeting.
Understand,
Not me.
I'm coming from ignorance. All I'm here is, I'm here to learn.
We all have levels of ignorance. Okay, I mean, just telling you, okay? So, no, I mean, it is, and I think it's great conversation. So,
Thank you.
and your points are noted.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, how you doing? Robert Lee. I'm looking for a superintendent who's committed to the public schools. And how much is enough for charter schools? All our kids cannot go to charter schools. We ain't got a public school system, and I've been paying tax ever since I've been working for these schools. And I need a superintendent who's going to be committed to our inner city public schools.
Okay.
And how many charter schools could we have? If you keep going in that direction, you're going to get shelled on this end. And the only end going to suffer is the public schools. So
I'm just working very hard not to respond. It's duly noted. I'm just working very hard not to respond to that. Because it is not my meeting, it's your meeting.
well,
Next comment, I shouldn't respond to that.
well,
But we're writing it down. It's all,
Somebody needs to tell us, the future of the public schools. If you keep doing charter
you're
schools,
gonna make me respond. Okay.
Respond.
Okay.
Respond.
So, listen, a lot of that is out of our control. Okay? Yeah. Because this is the state statute now, they're in session, maybe something to change. But right now, basically, to be rude and simplistic about it, if you could fill out the application properly, you could get a charter school. Okay? I mean, I'm being really rude and simplistic. Okay? Now, I can tell you this. There was a point in time, not so very long ago, that the district was clearly anti-charter, right? And we didn't approve very many charters. And we looked for, okay,
It's being recorded.
I know, I just checked myself. Okay. So we had a standard to have a essentially perfect application, okay? And if there were any significant imperfections in that application or in the financial projections and so forth, the staff would recommend denial of the application to the board, okay? Actually, that's another thing the board does is vote on charters, okay? Now, but then they can appeal, right? And they can appeal to the state, and if the ducks are not all in a row, we just get overturned. right? And then we have to let the charter open, right? Now, there was a change of philosophy in the school district that became, for a while, very, very charter friendly, okay? And they since recognized the impact on the schools that we have primary responsibility for. That was good, wasn't it?
Yes, very much. Finesse.
Okay, I was working hard with that. So, and so now it is my hope that in the near future that we're going to, it might actually be scheduled to have a board workshop where we talk about our standards for accepting a charter school. Now, I can tell you that I have personally, for more than a year, started voting against. For a couple of years, I talked about this, but I started voting against charter applications that don't fill a niche. So, for example, I like to use the example of the charter school for autism. That's clearly a niche. That's a need that we're not meeting overall in the school district, right? Or if you have a geographic niche. So, for example, if somebody wants to open an arts charter school in the Glades, I'm voting for that, right? I mean, but you gotta, for me, you gotta show me how you're doing something to help our children that the so-called regular public school system is not doing. And I say so-called regular because technically charter schools are public schools, right? Technically. The governance is different, but they are technically public schools. So I just try to separate those things. But so we have to evolve our practices, and I hope it will be that we will set a standard as far as we can legally. And you know, they change stuff up in Tallahassee all the time. As far as we can legally say, we're not approving charters unless they fill a niche that helps our children. Not just because you can fill out the application, you know. And especially all these cookie cutter charter schools that are coming up, you know. But at the same time, we have to do a better job of educating children. Okay, so, and I can just tell you, I will vote for a charter school if they come in and show me that they have a track record of educating the children we're not educating. Oh yeah, I'm making the motion for that. Okay, I'm telling you, because we are not doing what we need to do. Okay, and I mean, I have statistics in my happy computer to, you know, prove it. But and we all know that. I mean, we all know that we're not doing as well as we can. So one part of me says, if they could do it better, come on. Yes, ma'am.
I know that they are not in the school system. I just used to eat off the school system check with my husband. However, I always wondered about charter schools. Is there a saturation point? Because no. Because there are some schools, as you say, that serve specific needs that need to be there, but they siphon off some of the money from the general school, and there's no saturation point. Ooh, that's kind of scary.
No, there is no saturation point at this point. I mean, okay, so let me say it a different way. If charter applications came to us and they were good applications, meaning, you know, all the T's crossed, I's dotted, as it stands right now, if I said, nope, I'm not voting for that, or really, more importantly, if the board, you know, by at least 4 of us voted against it, saying we have too many charter schools, oh, that's overturned in a heartbeat. Okay, so what we have to do though is, now that our mindset has changed some, we have to outline our guidelines to show that what we're doing, and I'm sure that legal would listen to this and tell me that I'm saying something that's not perfectly correct, but we have to outline basically our criteria and then be consistent with it. So it's evolving. So, yes, sir.
You know, I'm wondering, how much authority does the superintendent have in changing or modifying the curriculum as well as the process by which things are taught, because the system being used now is a system that most of us don't understand, so therefore it's difficult.
I would ask you to stand up.
I got
If you can't, that's
well, I
good.
had a whole bunch of stuff on my lap.
Okay.
Anyway, the learning system that's being used now is a system which many of us don't understand, something that we were not used or taught with when we came up. And of course, we're older than most of you. But certainly we can't help our grandkids because the methodology being used now doesn't seem to be intuitive nor make a lot of sense. So if in fact a superintendent comes in, and if in fact he or she has a track record of success, and he sees or she sees that this process is not working because the methodology is flawed, what can he or she do about that?
Okay, so that's a two-part question. In theory, the simple answer is the superintendent decides the curriculum. That's the simple answer. However, the school district does not choose the standards. We do not determine what the benchmarks are for success. We don't decide what a child's supposed to know and be able to do at a certain grade level. Okay, that's decided in Tallahassee. And so, but how we get there, okay, so the goal is decided by Tallahassee. The superintendent decides how we get there, right?
Okay, and I can understand, of course, goal setting. Goal setting is always appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
But you can get to goals in multiple ways. So let's take a simple example of how most of us learn math, by learning multiplication tables.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's a system that I can't even explain to my 12-year-old grandson, but he has to use in order to get to that end, and he can't use the old system, which I and his mother can help teach him.
Right.
So, you know, where do we go from here, I guess is what I'm saying, and how can the superintendent and you as board members modify this structure?
So I think that probably what you're seeing is the change in the curriculum that's associated with the change in the standards. And you are nowhere near the first person to make these comments, okay? In fact, when I ran, my opponent's slogan was back to basics, because he wanted to go back to the way you were taught, right? But we can use basics, and I think we should, but we have to evolve students' thinking to the higher level. So now children are not only supposed to memorize things, right, and be able to regurgitate them back. They're supposed to be able to take that information and twist it and flip it and actually come up with new thoughts, which is really higher order thinking. And unfortunately, we are most likely going to see a significant drop in school grades, because it's like we've been jumping the 3-foot hurdle or whatever, right? And now it's gone to 5, right? And so, but your point about how we get there, can we start with some basic instruction and then evolve it, as opposed to starting halfway down the road, which is kind of the sense that I have. And then going forward, I think is good input, and I'll take it back, and it's trust me, these fights take place at the school district, okay? So the other issue is, how many teachers in here, before I make this comment? How many teachers? Okay, so y'all tell me if I'm wrong. An awful lot of the teachers can't teach the new standards. They're not ready for it, okay? They're not ready for it. Yes, ma'am.
Or once they learn a method, it gets changed in the middle of the stream. Like once they learn a certain method,
Right.
then it gets changed, and then you have to reform everything to the teacher before it even gets down to the student. And it doesn't happen in just 1 year. So the teachers are feeling forced to make adequate yearly progress,
Right.
and a certain system or benchmarks have been changed from grade to grade.
Right.
So that's what makes it so difficult, and this is not just new to education, it's been going on ever since I've been in the system for 30 years. Once we learn a certain method, and anywhere from 7 to 10 years, that method is changed.
Is it method or standard? Or both?
Both,
Okay.
both. But the skills still remain the same. You still have to know a certain skill to read.
Right.
You still have to know a certain skill to do your multiplication.
Right.
But the way we go about doing it is what's changed, so ever evolving.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
No, I understand it. And so we've had these ongoing battles, mostly staff, not so much the board, but about how do we take the children and the teachers from where they are and get them to these new standards. Now that's a difficult thing, and you may have heard that we have been, on the forefront of asking the state to, we call it pause, all this accountability using these new standards, because we need time to ramp it up. We need time to teach the teachers who can then in turn teach the children, right? And so I'm gonna call on both of you, but let me just finish this thought. Hey, Mr. Sim. When I took my internal medicine board exams, I'll never forget, there was a question on there that everything I knew about that disease process was contained in the question, right? And it just completely blew my mind because, in the olden days, I just had to, regurgitate some facts. Or maybe connect two dots, right? But I had to take that information and then draw conclusions that were not apparent. And I had to draw upon all my background knowledge and everything that was in there. And that's what's happening now. That's what's happening now. And so, and part of it is like this crazy stuff where like, they say mess like it's no right answer. Seriously? Like, okay, we don't understand it then. Okay, I don't know what you mean, right? But it's the evolution of the educational system, right? And I personally support the new standards, right? But we can't just throw that stuff out there all of a sudden. I see you. Hang on. Okay. But we just can't go that fast, right?
I agree with you 100%. But it's like the language, like the teachers, they spoke a certain language, main idea,
right.
all of these other things, and then all of a sudden they've been trained in that way for, I'm going to say 5 years for a new teacher.
Okay.
And then they finally got it, and then all of a sudden
they call it something else.
they call it, it's the same thing, but it's a whole new language. Not only do, I'm repeating myself, I feel myself. Not only do they have to learn it, I'm just repeating it because it's so difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do they have to learn it, they have to teach the students and within 9 months. And on top of that, if they're not that successful based on the data, then they're looked upon as like maybe not an adequate teacher. And it builds up a lot of stress.
I understand.
Just with 3 people, I mean the teacher, the principal, the teacher, and the students,
Right.
we haven't even touched the parents yet.
Right.
So we can't, we were just in a meeting talking about how we reach the parents. It's very hard for us to reach the parents when we haven't really come up with a game plan right within the school system, right within the classrooms. So that's one of the things that we would like to know if the new superintendent would kind of engage in a lot of like community.
Give me a statement as opposed to a question. The next superintendent.
The next superintendent, I would like for them to see in the next superintendent the ability to engage communities with the ability to help their students with what's happening current and what that student needs to know at that time to be adequate in that particular grade level or whatever.
Okay.
I'm kind of stumbling on it.
So let's write excellent, not adequate.
Ability to engage communities to
help the students become, you said strike adequate, what word should we use?
to help students master.
Master, yes. There we go, thank you. Master skills that are pertinent to their particular grade level or ability. and/or ability.
Okay, don't start doing all that educational qualification.
No, because
Okay,
that's
hang
not
on a
thinking
second.
about it.
Okay, there was a hand over here. Okay. Two hands over here. And then
Hello,
I'm
my name is Brenda, and I would like to ask one question. I'm in the area where we have a school over here, Ponciana, and we have Galaxy. How come the people that lives in the area cannot go to Ponciana or Galaxy and have to go far to another school and they live right there in the area?
Are you talking about the boundary?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, because that's how the boundaries were drawn. Okay? But now, I mean, that's the code 30 answer. But you can apply to both, to either one, and you should have priority in getting in. Okay? You applied?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you need to talk to me. You applied in this cycle right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you need to give me the information, okay? Because we have, okay, now I have flashbacks, so hang on, hold on, just 1 second. So, okay, I'm gonna turn that into a statement. How about this? Because they're looking at me funny, because we're not having a conversation as opposed to talking about the superintendent. So how about that we want a superintendent who will appreciate that all communities want to attend their neighborhood school. Is that good?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Okay, so let me just give you my piece of flashback, right? So what got me on this little path to school board member was what's now called BOC, the Middle School of the Arts. So I share a fence. My house shares a fence with BOC, okay? And at the time it was the School of the Arts. It was 712 or 612, and none of the neighborhood kids went. And I'm telling you, and I remember going to a board meeting saying this is apartheid South Africa, because all these cars would roll up in there, right? And they were all, expensive cars, people coming from someplace else, and they didn't stop for the stop sign, and we felt very disrespected. I mean, so I get them, I still get mad at them now when I'm like, excuse me, I'm on the board, you can't, okay. But, because it's like, it feels like an invasion, right? And so anyway, and so what happened was when the schools split and became the middle school and then Dreyfus was opened, then I petitioned the school board to say that we needed to have, the neighborhood kids needed to be able to attend that school, right? Now, and I'm telling you, I'm really gonna have a little, I'm not gonna go too far. One board member at that time told me, but if I let the neighborhood children go, there'd be too many black children at the school. Okay? And I mean, but she said that to me, right? And then it was all this hate on talk radio, right? It was like just me saying these things was very threatening, it seemed. But anyway, and so what ended up happening was that we ended up having what's called a priority attendance area. And so throughout the county, there's numerous schools. Poinciana is one of them. That the old boundaries, before it became a magnet or choice, the old boundaries are in a priority attendance area. And so for Poinciana, if you fill out the application, you're supposed to get in, okay? So that's why you need to come to me, because see, I know that they don't follow the rules, okay? But I can't do anything if I don't have a name. You know what I mean? But I'll walk that through. I don't have a problem with that. That's like I'm flashing back now, okay? And then what made it worse is, and once so now for BOC, the kids in the neighborhood have to pass the audition, then they're supposed to get in, right? But you know what? Then okay, I'm not going to say all that. Never mind. Let's move it on, because hang on. It was a hand back here. Go ahead.
Shaquila, I would like a superintendent that don't ignore when he sees a school failure, like when the school grade actually drops as a whole school, not to ignore that, to do something to make it better, and not just shut the school down because they're in school.
What you talking about?
No, this is what I've been hearing around.
Okay.
And, I'm just hearing it, you know, but I'm not actually, I'm seeing it with my daughter, like how her grades go down because of the different things, like the young lady was saying, how everything changes.
Right.
And it's hard for the students to keep up with what's going on. How do you say it? They're supposed to get the proper training and the proper tools to do the right thing with passing the education. But I've watched my daughter in the last 3 years, and it's a touchy situation for me. I watched her in the last 3 years. Her grades has dropped tremendously because she can't keep up with the system.
What grade?
She's very smart. She's in 6th grade. She's very smart, and I love the school that she goes to. And I will not change her because I don't feel like we should have to run from the school for her to pass her grades. So she's already was doing, she was an honor roll student, A and B. And now she's like C and D, and she's okay with it because she passed, and I'm not okay with it. So I just want the superintendent, I'm sorry, but I just want the superintendent that just not ignore what's going on in the system. And our children need help. They need help because this world is all about education and what you have as your credentials, not about who you know. Okay? That's all I'm saying.
You talk to me afterwards?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. Except for
It's hard because
in my world, I don't talk about school grades because I think school grades are fraudulent. Okay, I think they misrepresent the truth, right? But I do want a superintendent that expects, demands, and works to make sure that each child is successful. And I'm not doing all the ESC qualifications, okay? I'm saying each child, okay? So if you would just bear with me for 1 second, because I just need to give my testimony, okay? Because I have 3 boys. That's how, okay? I'm saying, fighting for them, crying in meetings like you, okay? I wasn't as polite as you, though. And so, I appreciate your politeness. But let me just tell you, so, I'm just going to talk about 2. The middle one, they told me the first week of 1st grade he was emotionally handicapped. Okay? First week of 1st grade. Now, I can't say what I responded. I'm in the church. It was not nice. Okay? Today, he's a doctor of pharmacy. He's got his own Walgreens store. And he started an outpatient substance abuse treatment program. And I'm now negotiating a contract to go work for him. Okay? Emotionally handicapped, first week of 1st grade. Okay? The second one I want to tell you about is my baby. I am going to brag about this boy like forever and ever because he can graduate. Okay, so let me just tell you, this one never, and this was with the FCAT, this was with the 3-foot hurdle, not the 4-foot hurdle now. I'm clear about this, okay? He was always on the reading FCAT level 2, level 2, level 2, level 2, right? One time he hit level 3, just for a minute, level 2, level 2, level 2, okay? All right. But because, I just won't go into the full testimony, but you never, ever give up on your children because on Mother's Day weekend, he will graduate from Howard University with his bachelor's in civil engineering. I don't even talk to him, right? Like he calls me and says, "Mom, he'll take snapshots of his pictures and just send it to everybody in the family just for we go, woo, you know." Yeah. But wait, level 2, level 2, level 2. And what made it so bad was that there was a point in time that I almost believed he couldn't do it. Okay? Almost. So don't you ever, ever, ever stop fighting for your children. Okay? Okay. Yes, sir. Yep, your turn.
Okay. Mark, you want to talk?
go first, and then I'll go.
You raised 2 points, and I hope it's right. One, you're talking about the teachers, and correct me if I misunderstood, the teachers understanding the change of system. Am I right in what you said?
The changing standards and how to get there, yeah. And the new recommendations on how to get there.
I'm a strong believer because in my profession, continuously, it's a term called continuing education.
Mm-hmm.
Lawyers take it, insurance people take it,
Physicians take it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that continuing education in the school system is also important. It's important because the teacher can relate to the child can relate to the teacher, and even most important, the teacher then can relate to the parents. Obviously,
Okay, give me a statement on the next superintendent.
I think that they should encourage the teachers and students in certain criteria continuously have a continuing education program. It's psychological and it's educational, so each can understand one another. And the last part I think is important, that there should be like an after-school program for parents and teachers, so they can teach those parents who care enough for their children so they can get a concept at least of what is changing in the school system. It's a continuing, constantly education.
Right, okay.
The other,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. The other point that you made, and I've done homework because of the last school board election in Palm Beach County, having to do with private schools and charter schools. I had mixed feelings. Initially, I thought the charter school system was a positive. I question it today. The reason I question it today is because you said it's something within the law, but the law doesn't mean it's correct. What I mean by that is the idea that a charter school is a private business, actually, that are taking funds that do not have to be returned if they're negating or canceling out a child. I question the legality, I question the law on the definition of a charter school.
Okay,
Because
so
it's
give me your
helping-
statement.
I think,
Is she gonna come past me another note in just a minute? I'm just telling you.
okay, I'm forgetting I have to be declarative instead of, the point is, I think the law and the superintendent and all the superintendents should question the structure of the law for charter school. Is it helping the mass, and is it taking advantage of the financial system of this country?
Okay. While you're passing the microphone, let me just say, we have professional development. We have professional development up to Wazoo. How many teachers in here? That's what I was looking for. Do we have professional development? Okay.
Yes.
They get tired of the professional development. Now, see, now they all want to testify now. So, but my point is that we have to revamp our professional development system and how, not only how we deliver it, but what it is we're prioritizing for that professional development. Okay? Because that's a pet peeve, but we've got your points. Yeah, somebody else. Yeah, there was a hot.
My name is Lisa Campbell. I live almost straight across from Ponciana. I have 5 kids that I have to route to Forest Park, and I've been applying for the longest time. My statement is, my daughter, she went to Moore Common Park Elementary, and she went to Don Estridge. But when it came to high school, she was routed to Boynton Beach High, where she didn't, the thing she wanted to do wasn't in that school system. And my question is, I had to go to the choice programming. I end up, the Lord ended up answering her prayer like she went to Boynton High just for 1 day. And she's in Boca High, where she's almost doing 11th grade work as a 9th grader. She's a super smart kid. But the thing is, I'm a parent that here is concerned that we need a president that's going to have these kids that you have doing, you've been prompting them from elementary to middle school, so you just let them go, like you just cut them off at the neck when they reach the high school. That's something that we really do need to address.
Okay, so let me see, make sure I'm understanding. Okay, so first off, I would ask you to write down the names of your students and when they applied for Poinciana. And let me just say, I mean, just as a overarching statement. If people are saying that, they need to call me. If you live in the Poinciana area, the priority attendance area, and you apply and you're not getting in, I need to know that. I mean, I can scream and holler with that, okay? Yeah, but I'm saying, you give me your names from the past. I'm just saying, because now I want to say there's a pattern here, okay? So I want to, okay. And then with her baby, we should be able to get that straightened out. I mean, and you said routed to, those are the boundaries. So just like you filled out an application for Don Estridge, right? Then, you know, without filling out a choice application, you're going to be assigned to your boundary school, right?
We did all that, but the thing is what she wanted to do, Boynton High didn't even carry the stuff that she wanted to do.
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, then instead of being assigned to Boynton, you fill out the application for what she wanted to do.
Yes, we did that.
Okay, and then she didn't get in.
She did not get in, but the first day of school back in August, she went there for the Monday morning, and in midday I got a phone call, and this lady said, "Is this the parents of the Sandra Campbell?" I said, "Yes." She said she's still interested in coming to Boca High, and I wake up. And I said, "Thank you, Lord." And I was starting to testify with this lady on the phone, because she doesn't know how much I've been praying all summer, because I was a terrified mom. A super smart kid, she's too smart for herself, they call her the nerd. Her opticians say stop reading, and her problem right now is what college going to take her. To be honest with you, we just got college, wrote us back that she has 7 colleges she can choose from, she's just 14. And the thing is, she was going to go to Boynton High, all the subjects, all the stuff that she wanted to do in life, Boynton Beach did not carry it, because it was just choice program. She was prepped from elementary to do, you know, she was on a pattern, but when she reached the high school now to further her future, it was cut off by the neck. There's something that superintendent can do.
Okay, I need you to stop saying she was cut off at the neck. I'm not going to accept that. You are clearly an active and engaged mom. So you know that you had to fill out the application for the program that she wants to go to.
Yes.
And then initially she didn't get in.
Yes.
And then she did, right? But I need you to stop this cut off at the neck thing, because on tape, okay? Because I'm just saying, because you know what? And see, we think as a board, we think that we're doing a great thing by having so many choice programs all over the county, right? And yeah, oftentimes the schools that you have boundaries to go to don't have the program that you want. So that's why you apply to a different one, right? And then we hope you get in. And if you don't, then you call me and I'll see what I can do to help, right? The issue of the priority attendance areas, those should be easy, right? The luck of the draw stuff with the lottery, that is not always easy, but I can't try if I don't know. That's all I can tell you, okay?
Thank you.
So, okay.
Dr. Robinson, first off, thank you. You've been an advocate. You've been an advocate for fairness in our school district for 14 years now, and I want to thank you for that. But I will tell you that several years ago, our district was putting more into brick and mortar in our school district than they were putting into the children. And now some of that was necessary. And you and I and several people in this room know how hard we fought to keep Galaxy, and now it is a shining star for the whole nation. But what I'd like to see in the superintendent, and I'm going to give several statements.
Okay.
First and foremost, they have to put the children first. They have to put the emphasis on students, okay, and on learning, okay? That needs to be the #1 priority. When you look at this, you need to see that they have a successful track record of student engagement and in student success, such as the North Carolina example. And there's other examples throughout the country that you can go to, and I hope this group starts to tap into some of those people. You know, there's people in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and other areas that have track records of success and turning districts around in areas that you didn't think would ever come back, okay? So I want that to be the #1 priority when you select a superintendent, that they're putting the students first. Now, I also I want to commend Superintendent Jen for working with the business community, because we have to educate these children for tomorrow's jobs. And we have in our county, we have areas that we don't have people ready for. When you look at what Max Planck and Scripps and some of these others, we don't have people ready for those jobs. That's why if you pick up a paper on any Sunday, you will see openings for Scripps every Sunday. Why? Because they can't fill it with our students in the job force that's here now. And if we're going to attract quality, high-paying jobs for the next generation, we have to educate them for those jobs. And I was so happy when Superintendent Jen met with the Business Development Board and listened to what the business community was saying. Hey, we want an able-bodied workforce for high-paying jobs. Okay? Now, we all want success stories, like your two boys. Okay? And that's possible. We know it's possible. You know, I'm going to clean it up because we're in church, but you know very, very, very well that it's possible. The superintendent has to know that those possibilities are there. And the last thing, he or she has to have the concept of fairness in education, so that when you have kids that are applying to block, and certain administrators want to use the audition as the one and only criterion, okay, whether they get in or not, that's a problem, okay? Because there's a lot of ways of keeping other kids out, okay? And you know what I'm talking about when kids go to Bach and Dreyfus, and all you can see is the Mercedes and the Lexus and the Cadillacs and the Lincolns, and you're like, okay, where's the kids from the neighborhood? Okay? And that's what I'm talking about, fairness. We've got great schools right here. Galaxy and Point Siena are phenomenal schools. And Forest Park is coming along nicely. And Boynton Beach High, it's a jewel. That school's gone from really being down and out to being a first-rate program, with programs with Emory Riddle and others, and the culinary programs and that type of things, that give these kids great opportunities so that whether they're going to college or whether they're going to a trade, they're ready. And we have to put that emphasis so that we have these kids for the next generation, as opposed to, you know, dumbing things down. We can't do that, okay? And so like I said, I'd like to see those things that Superintendent Jeff was doing very successfully in the business community continue. But also, like I said, you got to put the kids first.
Thank you. I think that we need to make sure that we focus on entrepreneurship too, because one of the things that bugs me is the fact that basically all of our choice programs are designed to teach people how to work for other people, as opposed to be the leaders, right? And I think that that's because we listen to the people who want to hire. Okay, I'm just saying, and nothing wrong with that, because I work for the VA. I like my good government check, you know what I mean? I mean, so I'm not, but I'm saying, you know, but I'm just saying, if we really want to expand the universe in terms of preparation, we will also include entrepreneurship. I think it's interesting how much money we pay for our hair and nails if we're not doing that anymore. I mean, because you can come out of school making a whole heap of money. But okay, that's another thing. So, but I want to go back to the mom who talked about it. I'm going to tie these two together, because I think that what I'm hearing too, and you mentioned scripts and so forth, is that we need to make sure that we're not teaching to the middle, that we're working to accelerate all children no matter where they are. Even the high-performing children, our goal should be to put them in a position that they basically blow the roof off, right? Instead of, because, see, that's why we can't talk about school grades. That's why we have to talk about children. Because when we talk about school grades, we start talking about how many points can we get. And then the student that's already, you know, performing very well, we don't need to pay attention. They just on cruise control. We need to get, you know, right. I mean, and it's human nature to, you know, to try to be successful, almost by any means necessary. But the goal should be to take every child and accelerate them. And that's what I'm hearing from you, Mom. Mr. Campbell? Campbell, yeah. So, okay. You got your microphone?
Okay, yeah, I didn't know you finished. I have two questions.
You had to make statements.
Statement.
See, y'all get me off my game. I'm supposed to be doing statements.
Statement, okay. But I don't know if this goes
Okay,
on a
just go
statement
ahead.
because I wanted to know who can attend the April 14th and 15th public interviews.
They're public meetings?
So.
Please do.
Okay, and where, we go on,
It'll be in the school district.
at the school district, and if other people besides myself want to know that didn't have like computers, so we were just talking about that, how will they know other than just going on the computer, that's the only way
We
they.
tweeting now. That was wrong. I was out of place.
No, that's okay. I get all of that. I get it. Tweet.
You get it, tweet?
Yeah, I get all that. But so everybody don't have that. So I'm saying, are you guys putting it out on the telephone? You got a phone tree?
Okay, that's good.
Or other ways, because I get everything on my computer. Yeah, advertisement. Advertising.
Well, it'll be in the paper, but that's not gonna reach everybody either. But I like the phone. What's that thing called? Parent link.
It's what is it
Parent
called?
link.
Yeah, parent link. And
Social media.
it's on Facebook and Twitter and all of that. And I even get one directly into my phone from my email. If you have a child in the public school, you get that. But that was just one of the things I wanted to know, so that sometimes we say, well, we had it and it was on the computer, on the website,
Right.
and no one attended. So that was a part of the meeting we had before this meeting, is making sure that people who do not have electronic devices and certain other technical things, that they also will have access to knowing when those meetings are. That's one thing. And then another question, I'm supposed to make a statement.
You're supposed to, but we turn that into a statement.
Okay. So the statement for, I wanted the new superintendent to be open to compensating teachers for extra things. I have two kids, they're not in Palm Beach County, but they teach. And they leave the house at 5 o'clock in the morning, they don't get home until 12 o'clock midnight, and they really don't get compensated for all the work that they are expected to do.
So does that mean pay teachers more?
Exactly.
Oh, you forgot that. You were just dressing that up too much.
Okay.
So
Pay teachers more.
Okay.
I was trying to be polite.
So your budget's under the board.
Okay, that's under the board. Okay.
That's board. Yeah.
Okay.
But and
To work with the
negotiations
board,
union.
to work with the board to have them pay teachers more, because I heard this gentleman ask for, he wanted the teachers to teach the students in the daytime. Then also he wanted them to come back at night to educate the parents on how to teach their kids at home on top of.
But there's ways to do that with, okay, there's ways to do that. I mean, I get that. But I mean, teachers should be paid more, just like period. You could put a period into that.
Yeah, they need
We in
more money.
negotiations right now, so
Right.
I'm gonna leave it there.
Everything is going up, but their check.
Okay, I'd like to see in a superintendent someone who, piggybacking on what you said about has a heart for the children, to actually let the children know that they are important, because they're our customers. I'm a teacher, so my children are my customers. So you want to provide for your customer what they need and what they expect. So I would like to see a superintendent that will actually go to make it his duty to visit every school and talk with the students and encourage them and tell them how important they are to him.
Okay.
Because without them, he wouldn't have a position either. So to make sure that the children know in every Palm Beach County school that they are important, they are the reason that he is there. How can I help you to learn? What do you need from me? And also on paying the teachers more, because I'm a teacher. I would like a superintendent that is realistic about teachers' time. Because we have these LTMs, there is so much they expect teachers to do. If we actually only worked our contract hours, it would not get done. It would not get done. I even go in on Sunday to work because they have church at my school, so I even go in on Sunday. So if I actually only worked the contract hours, what is expected of me as an educator would not get done. I would like to see a school district superintendent actually walk into the classroom and try to accomplish in one day what they expect the teachers to accomplish. In just one day, you just have to do it one day.
Like a teacher for the day?
Yes.
Also the cover.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Robert Lee, I got this last question.
You're supposed to stand up. And make sure Mr. Collins doesn't fall asleep again.
He's done. I'm kind of from the old school, and I kind of like to nip things in the bud. I would like the superintendent
call her.
to, you know,
and that's a card on the front.
how could a kid leave 3rd grade and can't read? And how could a kid get to the 9th grade and still can't read? I like a superintendent to address those issues. When you nip something at the bud, like pre-K, if you start a tree out and put a rod next to it, it's gonna go straight. But if you don't straighten that tree at an early age, it's gonna go crooked. And the only way you're gonna straighten it out is cut it down. And that's what's gonna happen to, that's what happened to our young generation now. At an early age.
Okay, so is your statement that you want a superintendent that fully supports universal pre-K?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Because that's where you learn to read.
Okay.
And how could a teacher pass a kid all the way up to the 9th grade and find out he can't read? That's not, you know, when I went to school, everybody read.
So wait, so let me just, okay, and we're gonna wrap it up because I know we're almost an hour and a half. So this is just, this is a bit of a philosophical question. Okay, so here we have these competing interests, right? So let's even not talk about the hurdle being higher. Let's pretend the hurdle didn't change, right? So we have these large numbers of students that in overwhelmingly, disproportionately black children, disproportionately black male children that are not doing well in our system. Correct? Okay. And then, and you asked, how can a teacher pass the kid? Okay. Then we have all this testing, right? And some of these tests are believed to help give the teacher information to guide their instruction, right? And then you have the mom who wants to make sure she doesn't understand why the child's grades are going down, right? And so, and then you have the teachers who are overwhelmed, okay? And so we have a system that really, in some respects, is just barely hanging on, okay? Because everybody's expected to do too much, and now the hurdle's being raised, okay? So what I'm saying to you is, we cannot, in my mind, there's a conflict between the concept of how can the teacher pass the child along, which I'm going to translate that to accountability, okay? And the teachers who will say, nobody said it today, okay? But the teachers who will say, it's the kid's fault, okay? It's their mama's fault. They live in the project. The daddy in jail. You know the mama ain't no good. She come in here and cuss at me. Okay. And I'm telling you, in here, okay, with family, that this is what we have going on. Okay? And so we have to find a way. My thing is, so my new slogan is back to the concept about the continuing, you call it continuing education. With professional development and changing how we evaluate people and changing how we select people, okay? because we have people who are in positions where they're supposed to be teaching teachers how to teach, who got those positions, it appears, okay, because of the friends and family plan, right? And so they're not benefiting the teacher who's trying to benefit the child, and all the rules are changing and stuff is changing and it's all this chaos, and they don't know what to do, okay? But mama's crying because her baby's not learning, right? And so my thing is, you know, Bush talked about leaving no child behind. I mean to leave no teacher behind, okay? Because what we have to do is a priority. So Debbie, write this down. This is somebody's statement. As a priority, this ain't my statement, this is community people's statement. As a priority, we have to, yeah, I know. Okay, so as a priority though, we need to prioritize and create a professional development plan that is really based on the needs of the teacher and the student, right? Because we don't do that enough, and it's to some extent teachers can choose what professional development they want, right? I mean, actually in a board meeting one time, like 2 years ago, I asked them, I said, so wait, you mean to tell me if I wanted to teach basket weaving, and I could show you that it's these and these and these benchmarks and standards that I'm going to teach while I'm teaching basket weaving, you would approve that? They said, yeah. I was like, what kind of madness is this? I just don't understand, right? So, okay, so we do have to refocus, but the focus has to be first on the teacher, because the teachers are not ready. I'm just telling you, they're not. They're not. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening.
Hey.
My question, not even a question, but a suggestion that I would like to see take place. I think we're doing a phenomenal job with the professional development. We have all of that, but what I'm finding, I think it's a disconnect from a superintendent and to the student in the classroom. I would like it if the superintendent could perhaps visit maybe a few schools prior to being selected, go to a few schools that either we can identify or you can identify, and actually go into a classroom and sit with students of non-speaking English students, and then offer other things, resources outside of the curriculum of one size fit all. What I'm finding is that I'm in the school system, and I still need professional development, but oftentimes I find that there is a disconnect from me and a child that's sitting in front of me when I do not have the resources that the district may provide. So I believe that if those that are in charge can actually sit with a student, then perhaps they'll be more open to whatever other resources that may be presented to them within the district.
Okay. We talked briefly about the concept of having the candidates visit schools. This is not going to happen, okay? Because then we're going to get into fights about which school, who said, why, all that mess. Which students are you going to sit in front of? And then what about all the rest of the students? If you believe that the superintendent candidate sitting in front of, you know, my classroom learns this and that, well, what about your classroom? They have, okay. But let me translate that to say that I think that we need to have a superintendent who understands and appreciates the diversity in the school district, all kinds of diversity, and the needs of each group. Because now, okay, so my other little cliche that I've been using, I took from President Obama. We need to micro-target. We need to micro-target our delivery of education, right? Because I can promise you, I look at my grandchildren, and my granddaughter, she's like a girly girl, and she wants to go to the library when I pick her up. She want to go, right? I'm like, yeah, you know. And when she looks at all the books, and she's like, show me this and that. My grandson, are you serious? I'm trying to keep him from tearing the books up. He will look at them. I'm proud of him for that. Okay, we're making progress, okay? But he's like rock'em sock'em, right? And the traditional, the classic classroom, they are not going to handle him. The boy is 2.5. I'm already looking for his pre-K and K teachers because I need somebody who's going to understand that he's going to be bouncing around, he's going to be tapping, he's going to be all that. He's going to be doing all that. And so we need to, am I all right with my statement that we need to have a superintendent who understands all of the diversity in the school district and the diversity of needs to provide high-quality instruction to them?
Yes.
Okay.
Add micro-targeting.
Okay, she said add micro-targeting. She likes that. Yeah,
that's true.
Oh, look, Mr. Collins, you gonna say something? Mr. Collins wants to say something. And, I give him all three now. You know we gotta hear this. Okay, give him his own page there because he, you know.
May I comment? Having been in the district quite a number of years, I have found that those things that you mentioned are great. However, I would like to see a superintendent along with the area superintendents. I don't know that whoever becomes superintendent, whether how he or she will manage that part of the district. But the single thing that I heard it once or twice, and I didn't hear it, when you take the parent out of the equation, you're in trouble. Now, there are some kids who are going to learn regardless. And there are some kids that you're going to need the help of a parent to help you, help the teacher teach. So my question, my statement will be, and I don't know whether or not, I talked to Joe Lee a while back, and he mentioned to me that there was a position in the district that I don't know if they hired anybody yet or not. I don't know if that position is available or not. But it's a liaison between the district and parents of schools where if there are issues that come up, and I don't know how you can figure out a way to maybe get the parents involved in the process, but I believe in some kind of way, as smart as the people in the district office are, that there should be some kind of a system in place. And there may not be all the schools that need. There may be a segment of schools that really need parent, teacher interactions. I didn't say students, I said parent-teacher interactions. For the simple reason, I can't get Johnny to do this and do that, but I guarantee you, if you have a parent that's really concerned about Johnny, they're going to make sure that Johnny does what he or she is, what they're supposed to do. That helps the teacher do a better job of teaching that kid, whatever the subject matter is. And I have learned that that is the key to any success that any school is going to have, particularly the schools that, trying to find nice words, that are having difficulties with some of our young students. I'll stop that. So my question is, if you could ask whoever you're going to select a superintendent, if they could come up with some kind of a system or a position or positions to be a liaison with the schools that are in need to help support, help provide a buffer between the parents and the teachers. To me, that is key, because I've experienced it. That's key.
Yeah. So, okay, I got to tell you about Mr. Collins, and then we're going to start moving towards close-up, but I'm going to talk about Mr. Collins, and then I want to tell you something that I hope will happen. So the first thing is I have to tell you that I first met Mr. Collins when my oldest boy, what was it? He was at a party, somebody pulled a gun on him, right? Like, he remember this too now. That boy 32 or something. I don't know how old he is now. Okay. So, but when he was in high school, and he wasn't even at Mr. Collins' school, the person, so I did the mama detective thing and found out who this child was, right? And so, and he was a student at Palm Beach Lakes, and I called Mr. Collins. And so we ended up having this meeting, right, with all the parents, all the kids, right? And Mr. Collins shut that down. You talking about squashing? I said, whoa, who is this man? He said, I can't tell you really what he said. But he just, I'm telling you, I was like, who is this man here? And I've been forever grateful. Thank you, Mr. Collins. Yeah, I'm telling you. And listen, and that boy's teaching now, and he see Mr. Collins and he bow his head. Okay, 'cause he know. Okay, so, but let me tell you in terms of the parent thing. So we have a proposal that I'm hoping the next superintendent will activate for Office of Family Affairs and Community Engagement. Right now, we have this Department of Community Engagement that's in the Communications Department. Actually, Debbie Stewart is in that Department of Community Engagement, which is why she's here engaging. Okay? Is that good?
I'm here because of you, Dr. Roberts.
Okay. So engaging, we're engaging. So, but anyway, so this was a proposal that was actually outlined by Dr. Marianne DuPont and Dr. Aurora Francois, right? And it is to create an office whose entire mission it is to engage with, and I'm gonna say, use the word empower families and community, right? Because people want to help and they don't know what to do, right? Sometimes they have homework that they can't help with, and so we need to be able to, assist with that, right? She's actually done stuff on that note. She has done stuff in one elementary school where they had a Saturday that they actually sat, Dr. DuPont sat with the teachers and the parents and went through the child's math book, right? And did sample problems, which I thought was neat. And guess what? The teachers need to go through that math book too, okay? So it wasn't just the parents, but anyway. And so, so we have like these different positions that are supposed to work with parents assigned to different schools, but they report to the principal, right? And so under this concept, those people would eventually be drawn into this office, and they would report centrally, because their mission is to engage the parents and empower them. And if that means that the principal, AP teacher, somebody did something that was not working well with that parent, they were a parent advocate, not to start a fight. But then, if you report to the principal, you're going to be a little bit hesitant to do that, okay? And so, and that family affairs and community engagement exists in other school districts. It would require, policy and a lot of things to do it fully, right? That's one of the things that I'm disappointed about but haven't forgotten, is that we need to do that, right? Yeah, it's key. But, and then also the part about the community engagement, because there's just a lot of things. Like one of the things that Dr. DuPont has been doing is asking churches if they have computer rooms, right? Because all these tests are on computer-based now, right? That's like another big issue for me, is if you're not used to expressing yourself by typing, right? That you can either know it, or you could be distracted by the need to type and not be able to express what you know. So okay, I sidebarred this. So yes, ma'am.
If there are no other questions after the system is very small, does anyone have any earth-shaking questions that they want to ask? This will be the last one, and we'll close out. Okay?
I'm sorry to prolong this, but it's stuck in my mind. We had tutors that would come out to your house when you had kids that falling through the cracks. My thing is, I would like to see that we still have the tutors for the children as well, because it helped me to learn a lot with my granddaughter. Because I've been on school forever. I was a school bus driver, and I try to help some of the kids that was on my bus, because children is my thing. And that's the top piece. The children, that's what it's about today. Our children falling through the cracks. It's unnecessary, because we have babies coming from babies. But if they can get the tutoring besides what they get in school, because some kids, they say they got it and they don't understand, but they're afraid to let them know that they don't understand. And some teachers know and some teachers don't. And the teachers try, but they need that extra for the students that want to get it and want to have it. So if we can go back to the tutoring for the kids, that they can come to the house.
When was that?
Well,
that's not in my head. I didn't know that. When was that?
Yeah, about 2 years ago, my granddaughter had tutoring.
Paid for by the school district?
Yes, ma'am. She had a tutor.
They came to the house?
To my house.
Ooh, that's good. We got to
And
figure it
spent an hour and 15 minutes with her.
Okay.
And it helped her tremendously. I'm
Okay.
telling you, because she is a kid that hides stuff and she don't want to project herself. So tutoring helps a lot.
Yeah. I just didn't know we were paying for tutors to go to people's houses.
But they don't now.
Yeah.
But I guess that was
Yeah.
something that was taken away. But I wish that it would start back because it helps the kids tremendously that's afraid to say, I don't have that. I'm not there yet. It helps.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so, I've talked too much. Let me just tell you this, and I'm going to be short, really. Okay, so the Coalition for Black Student Achievement is doing a rubric process. We did it last time for the superintendent search. We're doing it again. So, you going to close this out?
Yes. First of all, let me thank all of you for coming out tonight, so interested in the community.